how to add Google Analytics to your website. Step-by-step tutorial. Hello and welcome to Rankia YouTube channel. In this video session, I'm going to show you how to set up Google Analytics correctly. Simply log into your main Google account and sign into Analytics. Here you can create an account by simply press Create Account. Since I've already created an account, I'm just going to create a property, because that's what you need to do as well. Let's create an account. Simply follow the prompts. In the next step, you'll need to create a property, okay? So I'll show you step by step as to how to do that. Let's create a property. Actually, I've just created a property for this tutorial, and I'm just going to put that in the trash. So we're just putting the property in trash, because when using Google Analytics, you should be comfortable by creating properties. And if you make changes to your website or your domain, or if you have different websites, you can always, remove things and create new property and so on, okay? Including new accounts and so on. So now let's go step by step. Let's provide a unique name. Since we're reverse engineering this website, whereby I've shown you how to create a brand new website and start driving website traffic from Google within 1 week. So now let's do this. Let's say new property. You can name it anything you want. Time zone you can select. Currency you can select. Let's press next. Select an industry that's suitable for you. If you're a small business owner, select small business or different ones. Let's imagine I want to understand website traffic, but if you operate an e-commerce site, perhaps you say, you know what, I want to drive sales. Let's say you're a local business, you can select generate leads and sales and so on, okay? So this is a straightforward process. Let's create. Here we have different platforms. For our example, we're selecting web. Website URL is very important. Let's grab this portion here. HTTPS, very important. My website doesn't have www, but if yours did, then you simply put www there. Now, we're creating a data stream from our website to Google Analytics, so Google Analytics can record it. Let's say stream for this website. You can name it anything that you want. Now, enhanced measurements is the latest Google Analytics. You want to have that enabled. But if you were to have that enabled, we need to agree to certain terms, which I will show you shortly, okay? We can press on settings. Depending on the type of website that you're operating, some of these may be ideal. Let's say if you're posting out videos, video engagement obviously is important. So you want to have that toggled on. Page view is default, so you can't really change that. But you can always press on show advanced settings to see what's going on here, okay? Let's imagine someone clicks a link that goes to an external site on your website. Using enhanced measurements, you can actually track all that stuff. So ideally you want to have what's appropriate and even site search, because most websites have site search, so you want to track all that stuff. Let's save changes. Let's create and continue. Basically, whether you create an account or property, this is the process. For Google Analytics to work, we need to add a unique code to our website. As we can see, that's the recommended option, because most people, they don't want to touch the code. But you can install it manually as well. you can copy the unique code Google Analytics has generated for you and simply find your website theme. Let's say you're using WordPress theme. Header.php is the usual file name, and simply find closing of the head portion here, because HTML documents starts with a head portion, head element, and you need to find the end of it, because that's the best place to add that code here, just above closing of head element, and save changes. Now that is saved. If you're using cPanel, you can go to File Manager, locate the theme that your website is using. If you're using Shopify, simply edit your theme, look for theme liquid and add that code in that file. But if you say, no, I don't want to touch the code, I can't touch the code because of your setup, then you may want to install a plugin called Sitekit for WordPress. If you're using different content management systems, then you select the one appropriate. Okay. One way or another, this unique code Google Analytics has generated for you has to be visible in the code of your website. So if I refresh, we can see that code is in the source code. Let's now test the installation. Because we've just edited, Google may not see it. So you may allow a day or two for everything to start working correctly. But when you test it, you can see Google tag was correctly detected on your website. So now I can confirm it. If you want to troubleshoot stuff, there is a Chrome extension called Tag Assistant. You may want to install if you have any issues, okay? So let's confirm. I know that the tag is there, that's no problem. So now there is more stuff here, but before we look at them, let's take a look at what's important. Let's press next. Now the tag is on the website. I know that I can see it. I've tested it, all is working. I can always go to the admin user interface. Here is the data stream that we've created. So anytime I can modify stuff here if I want later on, okay? So let's come out of that. Let's go to admin. That's the property we've created. So you're going to do the same thing. Your property has a unique ID and the tag is for your data stream. View tag instructions. You can always view the instructions here. Okay, so that's the step that we've just looked at before. So that's the unique Google Analytics ID for your setup. And as you can see, Google Analytics makes the installation process easy. So now that we are tracking people and their user interactions, it's very important that data collection agreements are read and understood by you, because you are agreeing to the terms of using Google Analytics. Most people skip this step. You don't want to do that. There are additional settings that you may want to enable, including some advanced features. You may want to turn them on. Enhance user insights and enable audience list sharing. You may want to turn that on. But if you were to turn these things on, you need to read through the guidelines and the terms and conditions, or else you may get in trouble with Google, especially if you're advertising with Google Analytics, okay? Because some of these advanced features will not be available until you disclose your agreement. So now let's go back to admin user interface and let's look at consent settings here. This is very important if you're using Google Ads particularly. Rank Your YouTube channel shows you how to set up consent mode version 2 for a typical WordPress site using a free plugin. But one way or another, you have to test consent mode if you're advertising with Google Ads. Let's take a look at admin user interface. When you read through the agreements of data collection, you may want to create custom events. Create an event, provide a name. If it's a page view, it's a page view. Let's say you want to track form submissions. Let's say a typical contact page with a web form. You can provide the URL for the contact page, provide a name for the event, and let Google Analytics track that. Because that's why you want to use Google Analytics. Not just to see the page views, but as how people are interacting with your website, and if they're taking certain actions such as submitting contact form. You can create an event with a code if you want. There is other settings if you're operating an e-commerce site, for example. Okay, let's go to admin user interface. Here you have product links. If you're using Google Ads, you want to link Google Ads with Analytics, because then you can create remarketing campaigns. For example, people visit your website, you're using Google Analytics, you're recording that visitor. And then you say to yourself, you know what? I want to show ads to people who have already visited my website. That's remarketing in Google Ads. How do you do that? You create audiences. Create a new audience, create a custom audience, and select the appropriate settings. And as Google Analytics keeps the visitor information and it grows it, let's say 1,000 people have visited your website within a month, then you can run Google Ads remarketing campaign and show them ads again. That's a very powerful feature of Google products. Here you've got suggested audiences. You may select any one of these, or even the latest features using predictive technologies. One way or another, if you're using Google Ads, you definitely want to create audiences and consider remarketing campaigns. So, I've shown you step by step as to how you can insert the tag on your website. If you don't want to touch the code, use an app or a plugin. As long as Google can see Google Analytics script on your website, it will start collecting data. Consent mode is very important, and your agreement of data collection is absolutely critical, because that is the term of using Google Analytics. You can link different Google products, such as Google Ads, or even different ones, including Google Search Console. You can create custom events, which are powerful, and the latest analytics makes that a simple process, really. Because previously, in the older analytics, you had to insert the code on the website. Now, the latest analytics tracks form submissions as well. How great is that? Then custom audiences, you should definitely create them as soon as you create Google Analytics account, because you need to think forward. Surely there is different segments and all that stuff. You can perhaps explore them. So now, at this moment your Google Analytics will be set up correctly and you've read through the agreements as well and acknowledged them. Then your reports will be shown as to real time. Let's press on explore. You can create different data analysis, so to speak. There's templates you can perhaps use. You can see where people, what technology they've used. Okay, all this information. It's going to take a bit of time for you to get familiar with the reporting, but it has very powerful features. Let's imagine our business objective was to generate leads. You can say, okay, you know what? Traffic acquisition, where did the traffic come from? User acquisition, where did that come from? Which landing pages did they look at? Which landing pages they left from? So you can optimize your website according to user interaction. That is the power of using Google Analytics. I thank you for learning with Rankia, and I'll talk with you in the next video session.